Hello. Today I would like to tell you in as much detail as possible about the political risks that every company in the world should know, because without this knowledge it is very easy to lose profit in your enterprise. Let's start by listing these risks. There are a few of them, only three. Macro risk, currency risk, and the most recent risk is regulatory risk. How do they differ from each other? How to understand them? And most importantly, how to avoid them? Let's proceed with the explanation. Macro risk is a type of political risk that can affect absolutely all enterprises that operate in the country. Macro risk usually has a political characteristic of it, or it may be caused by factors beyond the control of the country's government. Factors that are beyond the control of the government are called macroeconomic. There are not many examples of macro risk, but they need to be remembered. Let's go. These are changes in monetary policy, shifts in the regulatory or tax regime, and political or civil unrest. Okay. We have figured out the examples of macro risk, but how do we understand it at all? Oh, it's very easy. It is enough to know that if a country has a policy of rejecting foreign interference, then any companies located in this country and conducting foreign direct investment, FDI, have a chance to fall under macro risk. What should I do in this case? The most obvious thing is that companies have the opportunity to purchase insurance against political risks from various organizations in order to reduce possible losses. That's all. It is obvious that macro risk affects the market, and has the ability to make changes in it. Macro risk is a short and long-term problem for securities traders and various investors. Macroeconomic factors affecting macroeconomic risks include unemployment, interest rates, exchange rates and commodity prices. Investors can immediately take action either directly to the country or to funds focused on a particular region. Great. We have dealt with the macro risk, now we will move on to the next one. This is the currency risk. Currency risk refers to the losses that an international financial transaction may incur due to currency fluctuations. Currency risk occurs when a company makes financial transactions denominated in a currency other than the currency in which the company is based. Yes, it's hard to understand, let's simplify. In other words, in this case, everything may depend on the exchange rate of the two currencies among themselves. And what can be at such risk? First of all, it is business, since accounts payable and accounts receivable directly depend on exchange rates. This can be avoided if we know that there are also three subtypes in currency risk. Transaction risk. This is the risk a company faces when buying a product from a company located in another country. If the currency in the seller's company's country grows relative to the currency that is in the buyer's company's country, then the buyer's company will have to pay much more. Transfer risk. A parent company that owns a subsidiary in another country may face losses if the financial statements of the subsidiary, which will be denominated in the currency of that country, are translated into the currency of that company. Economic risk, also called forward-looking risk, this is when the market value of a company is constantly affected by the inevitable exposure to currency fluctuations. Now that we know what subtypes there are in currency risk, it would not hurt to learn about the examples in it. Example: an American alcoholic beverage company signs a contract for the purchase of 100 cases of wine from a French seller at a price of €50 per box or €5,000 with payment at the time of delivery. An American company agrees to this contract at a time when the euro and the US dollar have equal value, so €1 equals $1. Thus, the American company expects that when they accept the delivery of wine, they will be required to pay the agreed amount of €5,000, which at the time of sale was $5,000. However, the wine delivery will take several months. Meanwhile, due to unforeseen circumstances, the value of the US dollar depreciates against the euro, where at the time of delivery €1 equals $1.10. The price under the contract is still €5,000, but now the amount in US dollars is $5,500, and this is the amount that the American alcoholic beverage company will have to pay. I think you realize that such a currency risk is a good example, right? Okay. Now we're moving on to the last type of risk, which is regulatory risk. Regulatory risk is the risk that a change in the laws of a country by the government will greatly affect business, securities and trades. Oh yes, this is a very dangerous type of risk. But don't worry, we'll deal with him. Let's go. Understanding such a risk is very simple, since any government has the authority to change the laws of the country not for the better for companies, you need to know this. Example: the TikTok application was blocked in the United States in 2020, because the government issued a law banning the TikTok application. And because of this, TikTok suffered losses. At the end of our presentation, I would like to tell you about Big Tech, the Big Four, Gang of Four, Or big tech are names used to describe 4 or 5 American multinational online services or computer and software companies that dominated cyberspace during the 2010s: Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple and sometimes Microsoft. Term the Gang of Four for this context was invented in 2008. Eric Schmidt, Phil Simon, and Scott Galloway, as describing companies behind the consumer revolution on the internet in which avoid taxes, invade privacy and destroy jobs. According to many, big tech corporations have gained too much power over users. The companies themselves, in response, argue that they face huge competition, and they need to continue to innovate in order to stay afloat. In reality, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft and Google adhere to a mixed model of cooperation and competition. And this interaction is developing as they increasingly invade each other's sphere of interests. At the same time, IT giants continue to work together in various areas, from software development to protecting the interests of the industry. Cloud computing. Amazon Web Services remains the largest player in the field of cloud computing, but Microsoft and Google are trying to get a competitor's market share. At the same time, Facebook and Apple do not provide such services. The latter even hosts some data from iCloud on AWS and Google Cloud. Internet platforms see news as a way to attract users. And big tech uses this to make money on publishers, or to promote itself in the market. Currently, the balance of power on this issue is as follows. Google and Facebook want to oblige news publishers to pay for the distribution of content. Microsoft has entered into a confrontation with Google. The first claims that news will remain free in its Bing search engine, and publishers will not have to pay for traffic. Facebook and Google, in order to resolve conflicts with governments of different countries, have launched campaigns to encourage publishers, but not all. Apple already provides a paid news subscription as part of its Apple News Plus service. That's it for me, good luck and bye-bye.